Chelsea have lost yet again in the Premier League today, 2-1 to Brighton at home at Stamford Bridge. My initial reaction to this, I'm not really surprised. I think coming off of that result against Real Madrid, where we're rotating our squad here, even though we're at home, Brighton are a good side, pushing for top four, even or top six. So I think I'm not surprised that we lost this game. Brighton deserved to win this game, even though we scored, first. It was a lucky goal, to be honest, and Brighton, they definitely played the better football in this match. They deserve to win this match. And it just goes to show why Chelsea are 11th right now and Brighton are currently in 7th place and right below Aston Villa. So there's levels to the two sides this season. And I know it's crazy to say that there's levels between Chelsea and Brighton. And it's not Chelsea being better than Brighton, it's Brighton being better than Chelsea. But it's the truth. Based on this season, Brighton are the better team. They're the better coach team. They have the better players right now. Brighton are just a better team right now. This is just what it is, and it's no surprise that they're pushing potentially to compete for Europe, and why Chelsea are mid-table club. Um, I'm at this point in the season. There's not that much to play for in the Premier League. We're not going to make a European push. That's pretty much ruled out. So I kind of look at individual performances. What can I take into next season? Where can I say that's a bright spot? At least he's improving. He's starting to play better. And for me, in this game, that's Mudryk. And I know everyone has been calling Mudryk a flop consistently. One of the worst signings in Premier League history. All these types of things. First of all, it wasn't a $100 million signing. It was a 62 million signing that could be raised to like 88 or 90 million based on if Chelsea win a Premier League or a Champions League with Mudryk, which based on right now is not looking like it's going to happen. But in the future, of course, it could. I was impressed with Mudryk today. I think from the very beginning, he was getting involved more in the match. And this is not really surprising because Frank Lampard wanted Mudryk at Everton when he was Everton manager. So he saw something there. He's wanted to work with Mudryk, and I'm sure Mudryk was eager to, work with Frank Lampard and take advantage of this opportunity. I think he played really well today, was direct. He wasn't perfect, but he got the assist. I think that was a good cheeky assist to Conor Gallagher. And it's about time we got a little bit of luck there. For how bad it's been this season, it was about time for Chelsea to get a little bit of luck with the Mudryk passing it to Gallagher, a deflected goal. It felt good to just score a goal, to be honest. That's how bad it's been for Chelsea this season, and especially recently. It just felt good to see our team score a goal, and Mudryk to get the assist. I like that as well. I'll say it once again, Badiashile, fantastic. Even though we lost this game, he's been a fantastic signing for us. Honestly, of that January batch of players we signed, him and Enzo Fernandez have been the two best by far. And I love Badiashile. I think he's a fantastic player. I think, honestly, he's cemented himself to be one of our center backs for the future. I think he's that good. He doesn't really put a foot wrong. He's quick. He's good on the ball. I think he's a fantastic player. I think the rest of the team really wasn't a great performance. I mean, I still like Fofana. I still like Chilwell. I think Chalobah is all right. He's not that great though. If he leaves, I won't be too disappointed. But the one guy on this team that screams at me and says he has to go, we have to improve at this particular position outside of the striker, which today was Raheem Sterling, but he's a winger. He's just playing a striker because I don't know what Frank Lampard is really doing at the moment. Um, the position that screams we need to improve this is the goalkeeper position. Now, I'm not saying we lost today specifically because of Kepa, because that second goal was a phenomenal shot. I mean, it was a rocket. I don't think any goalkeeper was going to save that. But I think there is something in the fact that Kepa consistently gets long shots scored on him, like today. Now, naturally, that was just a good shot. I don't think any keeper would save that. But we've seen it time and time again. We saw the John McGinn goal where Kepa was beaten, where he shouldn't have been beaten. There's numerous occasions where you can sit there and say, this was a mistake on Kepa. And there's just too much of that. And it's not even that Kepa is a terrible, terrible goalkeeper. He's a good shot stopper, but he just makes one too many mistakes, key mistakes. And you can't do that as a goalkeeper. You have to be pretty much flawless. And if you do make a rare mistake, it's exactly that. It's seen as a rare mistake. I can think back to Alisson, for example. Sure, he made a rare mistake for Liverpool against Real Madrid, but typically he's a top-notch goalkeeper. So, it doesn't really, that narrative doesn't really affect anything. It goes away very quickly. But outside of those players, those positions, I sit there and I say this was just a mid performance. It wasn't the best. Enzo Fernandez got subbed off. The defense was all right, but ultimately we lost. I mean, it's one of those things. There's not much positive to take when you lose, and that's what we've been doing a lot of this season. But I think at this point in the season, the wins or the losses, it doesn't really matter as much because there's not much to play for in the Premier League. I think it's more just how do individual players play? Is there a little bit of improvement for even just individual players? That's what I look for. And that's just what I'm trying to point out here. I'm just trying to see some kind of positive mindset with this. And I'm not sure if some people are going to be blaming Frank Lampard so far. Obviously, Frank Lampard has not gotten a win so far. I don't think anyone should be surprised. Why I don't think anyone should be surprised about what we're seeing under Frank Lampard for Chelsea. No wins so far. First of all, Frank Lampard, we know he's not a great manager. He almost got Everton relegated. He's been sacked from Chelsea before. He is just coming in as the caretaker to take on this impossible job, which is that's literally what Chelsea is right now. It's an impossible job. There's so many players. The squad is dysfunctional. We're not playing well at all. It's an impossible job right now for anybody to take, and Frank Lampard had the guts to take it because he loves the club. And it's not surprising that he's failing. This is a squad in disarray. It's a dysfunctional squad. It's a squad that has too many players, and it's a squad that has a lot of dead wood players. It's one thing Chelsea have to get this offseason right. They have to do the right things. They have to bring in the right manager. They have to make the right signings, but they have to get rid of some of these players in the squad. They have to offload dead wood. They have to do this. And what kind of worries me is that Chelsea, they also, outside of the fact that they have to get the right manager in, they have to get it right this time. They cannot afford to have another Graham Potter situation. Chelsea, they also have to make key additions to the squad to make it a really competitive squad. They have a little bit of a foundation of some quality players, but after they get rid of dead wood, they have to make some key signings of quality players to really put themselves in contention to be back in a top four race next season. And I find it I struggle to comprehend how they're going to be able to do it. How are they going to sign a world class goalkeeper, a world class midfielder, and a world class number 9 with no Champions League football, no European football at all? I don't understand. How are we attracting potentially a Victor Osimhen with no Champions League football? Why would he leave Napoli to come to us right now? Why? Sure, he loves the club. He grew up watching Drogba. He's a fan of the club. Maybe that's enough to pull him in. Maybe the Chelsea project with the new manager is enough to say, I'll sit out Champions League football for a year and I'll come to Chelsea. But right now, why would he even think about doing that? Why would a Declan Rice, I mean, Declan Rice, West Ham are pretty shit, but why would Declan Rice choose to come to Chelsea over Arsenal right now if that's who we're going to go for in the midfield? It's just one of those things. We're in a really bad spot, but the main important thing that we have to get right is the manager, which is why, like I said, this is why we even have Frank Lampard in the first place, is because we want to take our time getting a top manager and we want to make sure it's the right guy. We want to go through an extensive interview process. We want to do all of these things. And that's why Frank Lampard's even here in the first place. And I'm okay with it because we have to get it right. We cannot mess it up. The squad is not good enough. They need to make additions to the squad. But above all that, I think what we're seeing with Aston Villa, the rise of them ever since Unai Emery has joined that club, goes to show how important getting a top quality manager can be to a football club. I don't like to always criticize the players, and I don't like to always criticize the manager. In this particular case, I think a top manager, even though this squad is underperforming, it's exactly that. It's underperforming. A top manager could get more out of this squad. I don't think the greatest manager of all time, Pep Guardiola or Sir Alex Ferguson or Arsene Wenger, could take the squad to a Champions League title or any title in general. It's not good enough. But I think a top manager, for example, like what Unai Emery is doing with Aston Villa, he could take the squad to new heights. And obviously, we have to make some key signings. We have to also get rid of some players. But above all else, we have to get the right manager because the manager transcends that. With the right manager, you can pave over the cracks of some issues. So that's why it's so important for Chelsea to get it right. We know it's not Frank Lampard. He's not the guy for this. But honestly, I don't like to see people coming after him because he's just the interim manager. And this isn't really his fault. We were a disaster before Frank Lampard. And honestly, we'll be a disaster after Frank Lampard. We're not going to be, for me, this crisis is not over until the first match of the next season. That's when the crisis can be over, depending on how it goes in between with the transfer window and who our new manager is. That's when I'm going to say, okay, this crisis is over. And then it might come back on to be a crisis again very soon after that. But that's when I'm going to officially lift the crisis word from Chelsea right now. But right now, Chelsea are in a crisis. It's not surprising that we lost this game. It's not surprising that we continue to be in a crisis. It's not surprising that we haven't won a game under Frank Lampard. None of this is surprising. And if you are technically surprised by this as a Chelsea fan, I don't know what season you've been watching, but you should not be surprised by this result. Honestly, my biggest advice to you is to hope we get the right manager in, hope we make the right signings, hope the Todd Bowley and Egbali company is making the right decisions for this club right now, because that's all we have. That's all we have. So I think it's one of those things. We will continue to see how the season develops. We'll continue to see what manager we get linked with. Apparently, we're doing interviews this week. So we'll see how that goes. I'll have more videos about it on the channel when more information comes out. Have more thoughts, have reactions, have all kinds of things like that. So slap a like on the video. Let me know down in the comments below. What did you think about this match between Chelsea and Brighton? Were you surprised? Let me know. And hit the subscribe button. But I think without further ado, I'm Zach, and I'll see you next time for another video.